Hello and welcome to Newsroom. We're live from Islamabad and I'm Sharmeen Ali. The White House has announced that President Donald Trump and the First Lady will be visiting India from the 24th to the 26th of February, and the question now remains about whether we know that India and the United States are enhancing their trade, economic ties, etc. We'll be talking about that. However, repeatedly President Trump has said in his meetings with Prime Minister Imran Khan that he is going to bring up the issue of Kashmir, where he's going to talk to Prime Minister Modi about it, and he would like to see a resolution to this, and he'd like to mediate in this issue as well. So we'll see whether this topic might be on the cards in the upcoming visit of the President to India. Also, we will be talking on our program about Pakistan's efforts towards meeting FATF requirements. We've seen in recent FATF meetings that Pakistan has been seen in a very positive light by the United States and by international, the other countries as well that are involved in FATF. A lot of effort, a lot of work has been done in this regard. Legislation is due to be passed as well to further meet FATF standards for Pakistan, and many other steps we'll be discussing as well on our program today. So to begin with, in our studio, we have with us Dr. Asma Shakir Khwaja, who is a frequent guest on our program, and she's an international affairs expert, and she's also the author of the book Shaking Hands with Clenched Fists. Thank you, ma'am, for being with us again on our program. So let's begin with President Trump's upcoming visit to India. This very month, there's a very busy month. President Trump is going to be in India, President Erdogan is going to be in Pakistan. We have a lot of this going on, and then we're going to also be talking about the FATF meeting coming up later on this month as well. So what are we expecting from this meeting? First of all, we know that India and the United States are strengthening their bilateral ties regionally, strategically and economically.
Yeah, this meeting or this visit is very important for India and America, and I think that the basic purpose, as we know that Mr. Trump is visiting Ahmedabad as well. So basic purpose of this visit is to strengthen bilateral trade ties or economic ties, and more both governments are focusing on that. I don't think that because such visits are pre-planned years back, like their plannings and preparation been started. So this is not an extempore decision of Mr. Trump to visit India. So maybe it was decided months or a year back. And then I don't think that Pakistan should see it as like a visit at the cost of conducive bilateral ties with Pakistan or friend. I would not use, I don't want to use the term friendship, because in international relations there are common interests, no friendship. So if even for India and USA, there are only common interests, whether they are economic or they are strategic, or there is their relocationing vis-a-vis China. But their interests, it is only the convergence of interests which is bringing US and India together. And I can see that we all know that Mr. Trump, the president of the USA, is facing lots of criticism and trials back at home and in USA. So if we recall Modi and Trump's address to the Indian American community in the USA during the Modi's last visit. So I can see that maybe Mr. Trump is trying to capitalize on that Indian origin vote bank in the USA. So this can one of the reason, because we all know that Indian diaspora is an important pressure group in the USA, and their votes, they do matter as well, and they can be decisive as well. So maybe Mr. Trump is looking at that sphere of influence.
It's not just, it's the diaspora is one thing, then there are also a lot of Indians in key positions in the multinationals, companies in in the United
Yeah.
States as well. A lot of Indians
Yes,
of a lot of
yes,
influence in the
yeah.
United States.
And those Indians are also like part of diaspora or Indian expatriates. Yes, and but I can see as a student of political science that maybe most of the Indians, especially after the CAA, Citizen Amendment Act, and the revocation of Article 370 and the human rights violations in India and their recognition by UNO at different fora, maybe a good number of Indian civil society in foreign or in USA will not be supporting Modi anymore. So there would be repercussions
The sort of
for them
the
as
more
well.
balanced kind of
Yes,
moderate people
yes,
in India.
moderate, but you never know. So we really need to see that what they achieve, like, okay, this is a 2-day visit, but we need to see that what both governments achieve or what would be the outcome of that visit. If somehow, as Mr. Trump suggested during meeting with Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan, if he is able to talk about Kashmir and human rights violation with Mr. Modi, or maybe maybe it can be ice breaking, but I think that would be very much we need to be extremely optimistic to foresee
Right, because
that.
earlier when Alice Wells came to the region and she visited India, she did express her concerns about the whole situation
Yeah.
in India and about Kashmir as well.
Yeah.
So could that be setting the stage for President Trump to come and maybe take it further forward?
Yes, we should know. Yeah, there are chances, there are hopes, because any change in the regional balance of power would be counterproductive for the US American interests in the region. So America would try, or America would prefer, for their own interests, they would prefer to sustain the status quo in the region. They don't want it to be shifted or tilted or disturbed in anyone's favor right now. And if we say that, if we see the important American scholars of South Asia or on South Asia, they are extensively writing about the dangers of prospective potential war in South Asia. So maybe Modi would take it Trump would take it seriously, and he would talk about, because recently I read an article by famous US scholar Dr. Michael Kugelman, and he wrote that the prospects of war between Pakistan and India are really high and real in 2020. So this can be one of the Trump's agenda to dilute the situation or defreeze the status situation, so that
we've seen that tensions between the two countries have been high, but they've become worse since August 5th, since the revocation of Article 370 and 35A.
Yeah, I would say that since last February.
Last February especially. But since August, we're seeing more cross-border line of control violations from the Indian Army, and a lot of people being killed on this side of Azad Kashmir, civilians particularly. And when we see the tensions increasing at the line of control, any kind of mishap could happen at any time. Prime Minister Imran Khan has gone on and on about the false flag potential operation, but it doesn't seem like the world is taking this particular matter of the situation heating up between India and Pakistan that seriously, being two nuclear armed powers.
There are always limitations to certain reactions or responses, because all countries they all have their own issues and reservations before jumping into anyone else's business. Like Malaysia, we don't forget that the way Indians reacted to the Malaysian criticism on India's Kashmir policy. So, but I think whatever is happening at international level, the way UN is criticizing it, US Congress criticized it, different European Union, different international institutions, they have made it clear that they are not supporting Indian atrocities in Kashmir, human rights violations in India, and the way Indian government is responding to the demonstration or protest against CAA. Although this is not our problem, this is India's own problem. Our focus is only Kashmir. But this is how world is reacting, and all civil voices of international civil society, all they are condemning Indian policies. So it is, I always say, it is always gradual. It cannot be a revolution that one fine day all international community is standing against India and trying to avert India coercively. It is not possible. Coerciveness or coercive actions, it is a long process. So I see, and then I would say that the dates Trump has decided to visit India are really interesting, because these were the dates when last year on same dates Pakistan and India were in eyeball to eyeball contact, and the chances of war starting anytime soon between India and Pakistan, two nuclear powers, were really, really high. And that was a time when Pakistan responded to Indian aggression or Indian aggressive postures quite wisely and calculatedly and rationally to avoid the threat of nuclear war in South Asia. So I see that if Mr. Trump has decided upon those dates to visit India, for me it also means a lot, because maybe it is an indirect effort to refrain India from going for any similar action again this
on
part
its
of the
anniversary,
year.
right?
Yes.
Because it was a very embarrassing moment for India when
Yes.
their fighter jets were shot down and a pilot was captured, and then he was
Yes.
sent back hale and hearty and healthy,
Yeah.
and it was a peace gesture from Prime Minister Imran Khan, which everybody appreciated.
Yeah, and especially when Pakistan was winning this dogfight, Pakistan was winning the battle of aggressive postures, credible communication of deterrence and everything, and we proved that we are capable to guard our borders. We are capable to achieve the target whatever we want to.
More than capable.
Yeah,
right.
from the power of strength we were negotiating or we were dealing with India at that time. So that was a clear lesson for the USA as well, that in any if anything happens, India doesn't have capacity, capability and potential to like Pakistan is not a piece of cake.
Right, exactly. And Pakistan, despite whatever internal economic issues that Pakistan is going through, our military is not weak. Our military is able to handle aggression from India.
Especially, it is very important that a military has the capability and potential to achieve whatever target they have set for themselves. This is the actual professionalism and strength.
Right, absolutely. And that was definitely a moment where everybody saw that, okay, you know, Pakistan, the military, the country is ready in case there's any sort of misadventure, because our armed forces, they keep saying these statements, but this was actually in action. It was proof that we mean what we're saying as well.
We didn't use only words, but our actions proved it.
Absolutely, and that makes a big difference. Now, we also saw that last year, President Trump and Prime Minister Modi were together at that Howdy Modi event in Houston, and that was a rare show of sort of the closeness of the two of them, cooperation, you can say, and that was their third meeting with each other, and we saw that you know, President Trump was showing his support to Prime Minister Modi directly by being at that event. It's rare for a US president to be doing that, and at the same time President Trump also gave a remark about Prime Minister Modi's aggressive statements during that event, which I think also were surprising for President Trump. So,
and he was extremely cordial when Prime Minister Imran Khan visited him during the same period of time. So I think US is trying, right now what I can see, that US is trying to play its role as a mediator and as a mediator which has the potential to break the ice or break the glass ceiling between the two, Pakistan and India. But it is really important, we should not forget that it is not only external pressures, it is the domestic pressure as well, which pushes a government to take decisions, which influences.
At this point, I'd also like to welcome Lieutenant General Amjad Shoaib, who's a senior analyst, who's online with us. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Thank you.
Sir, your input on what do you think now? President Trump has announced that he'll be going to India later this month, 24th to the 25th of February, with the First Lady. What do you expect out of this visit? Further strengthening of economic ties? We know they've got military cooperation as well. Do you think the issue of Kashmir might be brought up here?
I don't think while visiting India, he's going to touch upon Kashmir. It will not be acceptable to the Indians, and I think when he is there in India, he would like to talk about some of those things which are favorable to India, and these are welcome there. I don't think he's going to touch upon Kashmir. And he knows that Indians are quite sensitive about it. Even if he offers his services for any mediation, even that is going to be not welcome by them. That is
Right,
also going to be
because the
condemned.
president has, President Trump has said on various occasions to Prime Minister Imran Khan that he'd like to mediate, and even most recently at the World Economic Forum, he was seen to be saying that I will speak to him, Prime Minister Modi. So that was basically where that question came from, that is he actually going to follow up with that? And other than that,
See,
do you expect that if that doesn't happen, do you think there's any still chance that President Trump might
no,
stop in Pakistan at all?
I don't think. See, we must realize that they have two different narratives for India and Pakistan. When they are talking to our leadership, then just to make them happy, they know that these things are immaterial because Indians are not going to agree to any kind of mediation. So they keep offering such like services. But when they are visiting India, then they know their sensitivities and they will never talk about Kashmir. I have a feeling that they may even endorse whatever the Indians have done already and whatever they plan to do in Kashmir. That may get an endorsement, tacit endorsement from Mr. Trump. So, see, these things are very tricky. These international politics are such that it doesn't have any morality. It doesn't have any. These are ruthless politics where you just keep pursuing your own national interest and just keep dishing out such contradictory narratives to various parties so that they may feel quite happy about it. In Pakistan, see, the people have been welcoming, and every time they were quite jubilant about it, although everyone knew that it's not going to be any result-oriented thing. And even if India agrees to any kind of mediation on Kashmir, I personally have a feeling that Trump will never be an honest broker between Pakistan and India. See what have
Okay.
they done to the Palestinians. You should expect this kind of result if there is any mediation. I think Allah has been very kind that the Indians have been rejecting this offer and we haven't done that. But at the same time, when they offer, when they make any offer of this type that we are prepared to mediate, it at least gives a message to the Indians that it's a disputed territory and Indian narrative of saying that it's our internal affair that gets rejected because international community at least says that we consider it a disputed territory. So nothing more than that and nothing beyond that. So I personally have a
Right.
feeling that in India, when he's visiting there, he's not going to talk about Kashmir. Instead, he may even endorse whatever Modi is already doing. So that will
Okay.
be something I think we should be mentally prepared for that.
Okay, right. Thank you so much, General Amjad Shoaib, for joining us on our program. He's a senior analyst and he gave his insights about what he thinks. He doesn't expect anything to come out of this visit vis-a-vis the issue about Kashmir. But, ma'am, in your opinion now as an international affairs expert, what do you think Pakistan can do now to push this agenda further so that, it is on the table at some point, maybe not this visit, but maybe another interaction between the two leaders?
Yeah, but before answering your question, I would like to add a bit to the comments of my worthy fellow, that we should not start any peace negotiations on assumptions, on the assumptions that nothing can, that Trump is not a suitable mediator, because it is our responsibility to guard our national interests. If whatever Trump suggests, in case India agrees to to negotiate on Kashmir with Pakistan, whatever they suggest or Mr. Trump suggests, Pakistan can evaluate it as well vis-a-vis our own interests and what we want or desire for Kashmiri people. But we cannot reject the offer even if it anytime it would be an offer. We cannot reject it only on the assumptions that it cannot be good for Pakistan. We have to evaluate it because it is our responsibility to pursue our interest,
Right.
not anyone else's. It is our job. And as your question is concerned, that as you said that what Pakistan can do to push this issue further. So I believe that proactive diplomacy is really important. Pakistan can diplomatically, proactively can pursue this issue. Pakistan can utilize its academia, Pakistani Kashmiri diaspora living abroad. They are important pressure groups. They are also well connected. They are politically active in those countries. We can utilize them, and or they should themselves develop a platform to further or push, because there is a small example of the issue of gun violence in the United States. Why US Congress is unable to declare American society a gun-free society, or impose certain restrictions on possession of guns,
groups, right.
because of the pressure groups, because of the pressure groups, which is the arms and armament industry. So why can't we use same modus operandi to further push the Kashmir agenda,
right,
or Kashmir question?
Yes, because as we see that different lobbies in the United States,
Yes.
whether it's the Indian lobby or whether
Yes.
you've seen how the Jewish diaspora works
Yes,
over there,
yes.
they're constantly working at it, and Pakistanis seem to be a little more reactive as opposed to being proactive and constantly working.
We need it. I think we need to make it clear, because that to international community, that Indian Hindu Nazism under Modi is a threat to world peace. Hindu Nazism under Modi can lead the region towards a nuclear war, and that nuclear war will not be local or regional. That would have international impact and repercussions. So international community needs to realize it, that whatever Pakistan is speaking or projecting, it is not for the sake of Pakistan's interest. It is for the sake of international peace that Pakistan is ringing the alarm bell. If you remember the person who rang the alarm bell for the coronavirus in China, people didn't believe him in the beginning, but when the damage was done, the government and the institutions started registering what he said.
Right, absolutely.
So Pakistan is ringing alarm bell for the sake of international peace.
Right.
But Pakistani academia, Pakistani experts, international experts, Pakistani diaspora, we need to tell the world that what threat is coming to their way under Modi Hindu Nazism.
Exactly, and all of this also comes under the wider sort of umbrella of Islamophobia, because we've seen that any kind of movement or any kind of discussion or whatever, they just put a label of terrorism on groups, etc. So we're seeing this larger Islamophobia spread, and we're seeing that countries like India are exploiting that and putting labels, etc. So that's another big work that we have ahead of us.
Two wrongs can't be one right. If Indian or Indian scholars are using the pretext of Islamophobia to justify the atrocities and inhuman activities of RSS and Hindu Nazis, that is wrong. And world has to realize it, that under the pretext of Islamophobia, they cannot be violent. And above all, Muslims are in minority in India. Muslims are not even taking their due share in Indian economy and social and political system. They are neglected and marginalized community.
And this is since partition. It's not just now.
This is since the independence of Pakistan and India. So this pretext is not for Indian context. This is not for India. Muslims, they are not even able to speak for their rights. So how come they and be any threat for in Hindu Nazis? The only thing is that Hindu Nazis want to construct a Hindu Rashtriya where only Hindus are allowed, and this reminds all of us the Hitler's Germany or Deutsche. So this is really important to see and to understand the world, that if the threat of Islamophobia, so called, is correct for India, or can they use this pretext? They cannot. So I think, and then the way there are so many similarities between the way Modi is advancing the Hindu Nazi agenda and Hitler advanced the Nazi agenda, and world should not forget that whatever Hitler did, was legal at that time.
Right, and in the recent
now,
deliberations of the EU Parliament, a lot of the parliamentarians raised this particular concern of theirs, that it was very similar to what happened in Germany.
And when you see how Modi represents India internationally, the only thing which comes to my mind is the way Hitler emphasized on propaganda. And Modi, whatever, the way Modi construct his part of the truth or his side of the truth, that is only cards of lies.
Right.
And the problem, or what is alarming, that in the presence of communication advancement, technological advancement, the way international community is becoming a global village, the way accessibility is there to find out the truth. Because during Hitler times, world was a closed society. The communication links were not there. Efficient links of communication and electronic media were not there.
And it
now they are
time
there.
To become
so for
aware
me,
of
it is
happening.
more we are neglecting the truth, international community,
ignoring,
because it is available on screens. It is available through citizen journalism on social media. The way Hindus, RSS are violating their rights or their atrocities vis-a-vis them. So it is visible, but still if world is unable to take action or prevent the Muslim Holocaust in India, it would be the fault at world's conscious now.
Right, absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Asma, for being on our program again
so
today.
Much.
And after the break, we'll come back and we'll continue our program and we'll be discussing about Pakistan's progress in the FATF requirements. Stay with us, please. Welcome back. And now we have with us in our studios Dr. Noor Fatma, who's a political economist. She'll be talking to us about Pakistan's FATF compliance and where we stand with that. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us again on our program. Ma'am, so we have the plenary meeting coming up this month, actually, 16th to the 21st of February. In Paris, Pakistan has to go again and argue their case that we are FATF compliant, and we're still on the grey list. However, what we've seen so far is that progress has been made, and it seems that largely internationally they're satisfied. The US, the recent statements we've seen, shows that they're happy with Pakistan's progress due to the short time frame as well as the scarcity of resources. Ma'am.
Yes, as we know that Pakistan was placed under grey list in the FATF. So they have given us at least agenda of 27 points which we have to be implemented. Now Pakistan is ready with the maximum point completed, and 5 points are almost completed. That is done out of 27, and rest Pakistan is ready to report them on its completion also, and on the progress also. So Pakistan has done to its satisfaction to the large extent that Pakistan is ready to get itself outside the out of Great East now, and Pakistan has the support of China. Pakistan recently, as you said, that recently a US diplomat has also praised Pakistan's effort towards compliance of FATF 27-point agenda. Malaysia has supported Pakistan's effort. They have acknowledged. Middle Eastern countries have acknowledged Pakistan's support, acknowledged Pakistan's effort. So Pakistan has done what it takes Pakistan to get out of it. Now it depends upon, of course, the presentation we will make, and Pakistan has gone for a meeting completely prepared. Our central bank, the State Bank, has done a lot of, they have taken a lot of measures, particularly imposing penalties towards defaulting banks. SECP, who has actually penalized many companies, out of them, no one was actually charged with terrorist financing though, but still they have imposed penalties of around 2.2 million rupees so far. And Pakistan is again ready to make laws, rules and regulations which requires them for certain conviction of the certain in certain cases. Pakistan has reported at least 500 cases so far which is related to terrorist financing, and out of 50 the culprits have been already convicted. And we further need certain legislation, and for that we need a political consensus, and it takes time.
Right. So, in the recent meeting of the Executive Committee, National Executive Committee, which deals with money laundering and terror financing and FATF requirements, they did decide that 12 to 13 laws are to be amended by June.
Yes.
And these are all so as to bring these FATF regulations into like a formal sort of legal framework.
So that's why we are expecting that if at all they might ask Pakistan to take more time till June, so that we can complete and we can make further legislation, and we can further convict people. You know, conviction and criminal procedure also requires certain legislation. So we need time for that also.
Right. This will include the Anti-Terrorism Act, and then also the Anti-Money Laundering, and Foreign Exchange Regulation Act has already been cleared by the Senate, and it's going through its process.
We need to have access to the assets also, and then already we have done like many other measures is already implemented, like to show your currency at airport, all the airports at Pakistan. So Pakistan is already on the track, which has been acknowledged by international community. But of course, you need a certain time for the institutional setup of that implementation. So Pakistan is expecting, first of all, that it will be out of now grey list, and if at all they need some more satisfaction, Pakistan can always seek a time till June 2020.
Right, and then also they're going to try and bring 20,000 non-profit and non-governmental organizations.
They have to register. They have to register according to law now. SSP is very clear about this anti-terrorist financing and of course money laundering, and the international organization. They have to now follow certain rules and regulation, and you know there are certain organizations which has been already they have asked to pack up just because of this implementation of laws. So Pakistan is on track. Pakistan is trying to implement what it takes, but of course it will take time, and it might take time even more than June. But of course, I think they will give time Pakistan to implement.
This is a really short time frame to sort of bring, like you're saying, institutional level changes.
We need legislation, implementation. We need institutional setup. We need experts. We need capacity building.
And technology.
So, technology and
so
everything.
much is involved, exactly. And also suspicious transaction reports to the financial monitoring unit. That's a key element in all of this, as you were saying earlier. Getting the institutions to be enabled to.
And we need people to get their training also. So it needs a lot, and then you need to bring all the political parties into for the consensus of certain legislation. There is a procedure procedure. So we can just of course lobbying is another factor which Pakistan is ready, and there is an anti-lobbying, you know, that also from India, but Pakistan is ready to get out of the grey list.
Okay, so and then FBR is going to be a regulator for real estate and for gems and jewelry and diamonds and precious stones, and that's again another role for FBR.
FBR, you know, yes, so this is extended role of FBR. And then, as I said, that you need a certain specialized institution, particularly. The financing is such a now, it's such a sophisticated, there is a such sophisticated instruments and sophisticated procedures that generally the government institution which is already in place, they are not able to look into these things. So we need certain time actually, and that Pakistan government is going to plead that they should be given time.
Right, and the other, one of the other changes that they're making is that the Ministry of Law is going, and Pakistan Legal Council are going to be regulators for lawyers and law firms and legal advisors, and also what we're seeing is a very comprehensive sort of different institutions sort of monitoring and managing different areas of economic life.
Exactly. Other than FATF, if you look at the whole financial setup, economic setup and framework of Pakistan, Pakistan is going towards now more formality. It's going toward more to bring things into the formalize all kind of a thing, for instance, documented thing. So looking at the Pakistani societies, so the socio-economic development, their education, and of course their preparation, these tasks are not very easy. So now Pakistan is trying to bring, particularly for our own reasons, that we have to develop our own macroeconomic indicators to meet the condition of IMF also. So Pakistan is already on that track to actually bring many things into accountability now. So it will help in FATF also.
Right. So just giving a bit of historical context, that Pakistan was blacklisted once between 2010 and 12, and at that time they were deemed to be non-compliant, but then we were upgraded to the grey list in 2012 when we enacted the anti-money laundering bill and set up the financial monitoring unit. So we've gone on and off the grey list, and then we were off the grey list in 2015.
And then in 2018 we were placed again.
Exactly, we were placed back in the grey list, and the reason they say is because of the fact that the renewed different ties of all the countries around FATF with India, and then India pushed for Pakistan to sort of come back into the grey area.
Yes. That's what I'm saying, that we have this anticipation this time again, that India can put his effort, all that effort to bring to at least Pakistan should stay this or maintain the status quo of grey list. But Pakistan is also ready. Now Pakistan has its own lobbying, its own diplomatic efforts, and Pakistan has done a very comprehensive, very rigorous work for the preparation of a report for this FATF meeting. So let's see, and I think we cannot speculate before time, but I hope that they will be Pakistan will be given time till June.
So do you think that in this upcoming plenary meeting in February, that does Pakistan have a chance of getting off the grey list entirely, or do you think there's a bigger chance that Pakistan will remain on the grey list till all of these other measures are
exactly
taken?
As far as the Pakistan's preparation is concerned, Pakistan is prepared. Pakistan has done all what it could do till this time. As far as the international community, as I said, China, as I said, Malaysia, the other countries, they are with Pakistan. Pakistan has to get 12 votes out of 39 to get out of the grey list. Now that depends. And if not, if they are not going outside this, they are not taken out of this grey list, at least they will be given time. So Pakistan has to get this 12 vote out of 39
to get out of the grey list. And how about to remain in the grey list, and not to sort of make sure that the Indians are not successful in getting Pakistan on the blacklist? What process is needed for that?
I think the status quo would need the present status quo will maintain without any other voting. You need 12 votes to get out of it. First and second, this will be again Pakistan's success if Pakistan is able to get more time till June or maybe more. That is again Pakistan's success, and that is of course a failure of India already. And Pakistan can report back. Pakistan can plea for that Pakistan can report back on certain issues which is remained, still that is unimplemented.
Right,
So that
okay.
will help Pakistan.
Okay, we have online with us Mr. Shahbaz Rana, who's also an expert on this. Thank you, sir, for joining us online.
Thank you, Ms. Sharmeen.
Sir, so how far along do you think, in your opinion, Pakistan have we come to being compliant with the FATF requirements? Now, we know that a lot of positive feedback has come from the member countries. Even the USA recently said we've had a very, very short amount of time to become compliant. There's a whole legal framework, institutional framework that needs to be implemented. So, sir, in your opinion, the upcoming plenary meeting, what do you expect out of this?
Well, as compared to about 2 years ago, when the FATF had decided to put Pakistan on the grey list for a period of about 1.5 years, the situation is much better. We have improved our laws, we have improved enforcement, and the coordination between federal and the provincial law enforcement agencies and other important departments has also improved. But having said that, that does not mean that Pakistan has fulfilled all the requirements and 27-point action plan set out by the FATF. Uh, Given the performance of Pakistan in past 1 year, particularly past 6 months, there are bright chances that Pakistan will not be blacklisted. Uh, there are chances that Pakistan will still remain on the grey list maybe for 3 to 6 months more to complete the other actions. But the progress is much better as compared to 2 years ago.
Right, sir, and a lot of steps have been taken that we've talked about earlier as far as the work of the SECP and State Bank, etc. Now, and all the financial institutions, the suspicious transaction reports that have to be reported to the Financial Monitoring Unit, and many of your different areas such as real estate, etc., have come under now different regulatory bodies and all. What more is left now for Pakistan to comply with?
You are right. A lot of progress has been made by the regulators, the State Bank of Pakistan, the Securities and Exchange Commission of Pakistan, and other such bodies. But now the main challenge is to implement the laws, to enforcement the rules. One major outstanding issue is the convictions by Pakistani courts of the people who have been accused of either the terrorism financing cases or in the money laundering cases. So the FATF focus is primarily on the TF, the terrorism financing cases. There is slow progress on that account, and this is an area where much progress is needed. Another issue which is outstanding is the cross-border smuggling of the cash by the cash couriers. Pakistani authorities have tried to plug loopholes, but still work is needed that could make sure that people from Afghanistan are not crossing into Pakistan or they are not crossing back to Afghanistan and they carry money that can be potentially used for terror activities. So this is another area that remains outstanding.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us online, Mr. Shahbaz Rana. And ma'am, now I'd like to have your final thoughts on this. That how far do you think? I mean, we've talked about how far we've come and what more needs to be done. However, we've also seen in the past that Pakistan has complied with a lot of things, but then more and more conditions have been applied due to, again, India's relationship with the Western countries, European countries, the United States, who are the member countries of FATF and the voices over there. So will that happen again? Do more kind of a situation? Are we going to see that?
Do more, not in that context that they are going to add something more. They have given us already 27 points agenda, and now we have to satisfy them that up to what extent we have been able to implement and what is remaining, and that remaining is because of this reason that we need legislation, we need to prosecute people, so we need certain consensus of the people also in our country. And as I said, that out of 500 cases which was related to somehow terrorist financing or money laundering, we have been able to convict only 50 or 55. So why we were not able to convict all of them? There must be certain reasons behind, there must be some rationality. So we have to convince them. If not, what I expect is that they will give us more time to keep us in grey list also, and at the same time.
Right. So the process will be fair, and then hopefully Pakistan will be recognized for the efforts that we've made.
As compared to previous 2015 or earlier than that, Pakistan positions internationally in international community vis-a-vis FATF is quite better and stronger this time.
Okay, right. Thank you, Dr. Noor Fatma, for
welcome.
joining us on our program. That's all the time we have for our program today. Thank you for watching Newsroom, and we will see you next time.